Hey guys, Icon here from Voclia Music. In this video, we're going to be using Dubler 2 to produce parts for a rock track. We'll be doing things like using triggers to play acoustic MIDI drums, singing in bass and guitar parts with Dubler 2's pitch, using the Chords tab for some chordal ideas, and also looking at some free software that works great with guitar parts. Let's dive right in. We're going to be using Logic X for demonstration purposes, but you can apply the techniques we use in any DAW. The first step is laying down 3 different chord progressions. This will help us build up a track and build the other parts around the first part. So we'll start with a distorted guitar sound to lay down some power chords. With Dubler active, I'll record arm the guitar. It sounds okay, but the problem with these MIDI guitars is single note isn't really their strong suit unless they're going through a lot of effects, which we'll also look at in a bit. But for now, I'm going to layer the guitar with a chord. And I'm going to use Logic's chord trigger device with the power chord preset. Let's see how it sounds now. So what this preset is doing, it's adding an octave of whatever note I'm singing into Dubler. So if I'm singing an E, I'm getting an E. And it's also adding the 5th, which is B for E. So this classic guitar voicing that you hear all the time and see all the time, it emulates it with the chord MIDI device. And lots of DAWs have chord MIDI devices that will allow you to do this easily. Now that we have this sound, we can lay down a couple of different chord progressions that'll allow us to build sections of a track. We'll just get the metronome going. BPM around 90 is okay for a normal rock track. We can quantize. So that can be our first loop quickly, and then maybe a pre-chorus kind of section. And we're probably going to quantize this as well, just with Q in Logic, quick shortcut. We can also extend some notes. And then maybe for the chorus, we can do something a little more interesting. We haven't gone to B minor yet at all, even though that's the scale we're working in. So maybe the chorus can be in B minor. So I'll try to start with that chord. So now that we have 3 sections, we can make a quick small arrangement. Without everything else, it kind of sounds a bit dry, but now we'll get to some drums maybe to give us a bit of rhythm, and then we can lay down the bass. For the drums, we're going to use the Bluebird drum kit. Turn off pitch, and we'll set up some triggers in Dubler. Remember, in Dubler, to train triggers, you head to the Train tab. You enable your triggers. And then you can start training triggers to trigger any note you'd like. First we'll go for the kick, which is C1. Quickly train a trigger. We'll keep that velocity responsive so that when we sing louder, we get louder kicks. And then now the snare. We're using 2 different sounds with clear transients, a but sound and a ch sound. So, and then snare. In the snare, I'm going to disable velocity response so we get more consistent hits. The reason I only trained 2 triggers is because I want to use the same 2 triggers for all the drum parts. So first we're going to do the kick and the snare, that's 2. Then we're going to do a close hi-hat and open hi-hat, and then maybe we'll add some toms. With just the kick and the snare, I'm going to try to jam out a basic idea for each section of our track so far. And we can also quantize again, lots of quantizing, but you don't have to quantize. We're just doing it for the sake of demonstration purposes. And Q. Now we'll go back to Dubler and change the MIDI notes. So I'm going to change the kicks one to a closed hat. So when I go but, I'm going to get the closed hat, and then for cha, I'm going to go to the open hat. Let's see how that sounds. So those repetitive open hi-hats could be cool. Also repetitive closed hi-hat. Now we can quantize the hi-hats as well. So you can make lots of edits, choose the best moments, and then come up with a full drum pattern. Now we can add some toms in between maybe. So now we've also added some fills in there, and we might not use all of those, of course. We did a lot, but again, helpful to quantize, just so it cleans up the ones where we had to sing a bit fast. A good tip is also to slow down your BPM a lot, like for example 60, 65 BPM, and record with that. And then when you speed it up, everything will sound epic. We could, of course, spend a lot of time cleaning up this drum pattern we just put down. There are lots of ideas there. It'll make it easy for us to cut and find the best moments later. Now for the bass. Go back to Dubler, enable pitch. We're still in B minor. We're using this picked bass preset. And we actually copy-pasted it and set up two different instances and added an arpeggiator to the first one. And now I'll enable the bass. Here's how it sounds. When working with bass, it's a good idea to bring this octave down in Dubler so you can sing high notes and get bass notes. So we'll use that version, but like I said, there's another version with an arpeggiator, and this is Logic's arpeggiator device. We're keeping it very simple and just leaving the arpeggiator on its default mode. Most DAWs have an arpeggiator, and when you don't press a chord in an arpeggiator and when you don't set any patterns, it just repeats the note depending on the time you want. So we have 16th notes selected here, and here's how the bass sounds run through the arpeggiator. We'll use the ARP version to lay down a couple of bass parts, and then the bass without the ARP to lay down the others. Now we can also add some bass to the chorus section. Now that we have the bass parts down, we can start introducing some other elements like a pad, for example, and we'll use Dubler's Chords tab to do this. So here's our pad. Pa, 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 pa. Now we can head over to the Chords tab, enable chords, and now we have all these different chords in the key of B minor, and we've changed things up a bit. We've added an E minor 7 chord to the E and an F sharp minor chord to the A. Sometimes it's a good idea to use other voicings so you're just not playing simple minor and major chords all the time. The other is also a D major 7 for the D. And you can choose the chords again from the suggested chords here or from the drop-down list you get here. We have our chords ready and we know the chord progression from what we did with the guitar and the bass. So we'll just try to sing in some sustained chords. Now we'll add one last guitar part, trying to maybe emulate a guitar solo. But again, this is really hard with ready guitar MIDI instruments unless you add some really good effects. We're going to use a Spitfire Audio Labs instrument. Labs is Spitfire Audio's free plugin, and there are tons and tons of libraries you can download for free, lots of instruments. Be sure to check it out. We've left a link in the description as well. And here's how the guitar sounds like dry without any effects. So you can see it doesn't sound like much of a guitar at all even, but we can add some effects. The first one we'll add is Native Instruments' free version of Guitar Rig that you can get for free with Native's complete start package. We've also left a link in the description for that. And here's how it sounds with Guitar Rig. And we're using the Crazy Randy chorus preset. The free version comes with about 30-40 presets compared to hundreds in the full version, which we definitely recommend as well. And we can also add some delay. Let's try to perform this maybe near the end. We can also add this nice synthy preset Logic has called Dreamy Air Guitar under the plucked instruments. With all these added in, here's our final track, and remember, of course, it would take a lot more editing to get it to that final point, but for demonstration purposes, we'll leave it as is for now. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to send us any examples you have using Dubler to produce rock or any other genre. We'd love to check it out and repost on our socials. If you have any questions about the techniques we looked at, be sure to drop a comment and make sure to subscribe for all the latest videos from Voclia Music. See you next time.